The North Pole is melting, and it's your fault, which is why for Christmas, Greenpeace has barfed out a fundraising video featuring Santa looking like Saddam trapped in a spider hole. Note to children, this really isn't Santa, but a bad actor playing one.
I bring bad tidings. For some time now, melting ice here at the North Pole has made our operations and our day-to-day life intolerable and impossible.
It's like a Cialis commercial from Middle Earth. He goes on.
I have written personally to President Obama, President Putin, all world leaders. Sadly, my letters have been met with indifference.
God. What's next? The Easter Bunny on a rack? Proceed.
My home in the Arctic is fast disappearing, and unless we all act urgently, then I have to warn you of the possibility of an empty stocking forevermore.
Next year, they're going to waterboard the tooth fairy. And here lies the lesson. Once someone's trying to scare the kids, it's because they lost on facts. This is true in most issues in our time. The drug war, satanic heavy metal music, DDT hysteria, daycare abuse, rising gun crime. Once you focus on actual stats, the story dies. Far better to stoke fear than state the facts. We used to call this propaganda. Now it's called raising awareness. It's where Al Gore and global warming hysterics live. It's not about a tiny blip in temperature over a century. It's that the debate has been stained with lies, panic, and fear. The hysterics cried wolf so loudly that the wolf croaked. But the facts are finally winning. Global temperatures are flatlining. That's not to say we shouldn't care. A gradual rise in temperatures will save lives. And the use of coal, which hysterics hate, would save millions of lives in third world countries who burn far deadlier stuff. So it's not this Santa we need to worry about. It's the Santa in the White House. Fresh from trashing 1/6 of the economy, he's now eyeing climate change. Do you think he's actually read the science? I doubt it. Like Greenpeace's Santa, he's being kept in the dark. Dana, what about the children? What about the children?
Forget the children. I was terrified.
Were you really? I saw you went under the desk.
A little nervous.
Yes.
First of all, I didn't know that he was Santa. I mean, that he was British.
Yes.
That is an interesting thing for me. And also, that was the butler from Downton Abbey?
Downton Abbey. By the way, Father Christmas, he's British, right?
Well, Father Christmas is for everyone.
I guess so. What do I know?
I think that they should have had a redneck Santa. It would have been a little bit more persuasive.
Really?
Look, I think you're right about the scaring children. But it's really the only thing that they have. One of the things I used to do at the White House, one of my first jobs while I was waiting for my security clearance, was reading the children's mail as it came in to the president. And there was a lot of stuff about 9/11. And then there was this whole batch, and you could see that like a word had gone out for all the teachers of the third graders in America to send in letters about global warming. And these kids were really worried that that the Earth was going to fall off.
It's the nuclear war. When I was growing up in the 70s, the Cold War, that we were going to be bombed by Russia or USSR.
That's
actually,
true.
and so we would hide under desks and we'd dream about that every night. Eric, what did you think of the Saddam Hussein Sheikh Mohammed treatment?
That was great. So on the week that this video comes out, the Earth, the globe, recorded its coldest temperature by far, 135 degrees below zero, shattering all the records. Also, the night after the video came out, the Chicago Bears played in -9 degrees wind chill, which is, if I remember right, back in the day of Soldier Field, the toilets used to freeze, and guess what? They still freeze, and that was 25 years later. 70% of the country's blanketed in below normal temperatures right now. So the problem is that Greenpeace went with global warming again. Remember about 2 years ago when they realized global wasn't warming, it may not be warming, maybe just be changing, and they went with climate change, but they went with global warming, and they kind of screwed up. If they had said the climate's changing, then maybe they had an argument, but they went with global warming.
They equate, if I could pick up on that, but they equate terrorism with global warming. That what they were doing in terms of using that picture of the Saddam Hussein lookalike or the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed mugshot that's what that's the equivalent for them.
That's a good point. I just thought they were being shocking, but they were actually trying to make a point.
Well, maybe I'm giving them more credit.
They treat people who don't believe what they believe like terrorists.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, isn't that how they conflate anyone on the opposite side? I mean, the left has used the term terrorist to describe people on the right a lot. I think they also, Greg, wanted to get the PETA crowd in here because they had Khalid Sheikh Claus bring up the reindeer.
Yes.
The reindeer are in trouble. I mean, how low do you have to go to bring Rudolph?
They're scaring the kids.
And Dasher and Dancer. Well, you know, they tried to scare the parents.
Yeah.
And that is the whole crux of this. When you dig into the polls, people may say, all right, something happening with the climate. And they may say, well, we should do something about it. But they don't believe that it is a crisis. And they don't want taxpayer money to be used for it. So I'm surprised Santa didn't actually thank us for Solyndra and for all the things that we've spent millions on. So if you want to blame someone, blame the White House. We've invested plenty. It hasn't changed it.
Yeah. You know, Bob, there could be things going on in the climate. There always is. And we don't know yet. And I'm inclined to, I listen to all sides. But the problem is when a side goes over the top, that alienates anybody, right? That would be willing to listen. It just makes me not want to listen.
Well, the guy scared me because he reminded me of Hannibal Lecter. that was my real problem with it. But listen, you know, you are terrorists who don't believe in global warming, and we're never going to agree on this. You got facts, we got facts. We go back and forth. Now, I wouldn't necessarily scare kids because of Santa Claus. But I would take those polar bears that are floating out there on ice caps that are broken apart and look at those.
Yeah, except there's too many.
Except they're refreezing at an alarming rate. The globe is getting colder, Bob.
No, it's not.
Sure is.
And the bears.
No, but that's also global warming. See, it doesn't matter what the weather is. They claim that it's global
warm in certain
warming.
parts of the world. Which
but Bob, you know, you have to admit, climate change. The climate does change. Can't refute that. You guys got us. Climate change. You're right.
And part of the reason it's changing is because we've thrown all these carbon dioxides up there into the.
Do you think do you think Greenpeace runs that ad in China?
I doubt it because
Or
China,
India,
Russia, India
or
would
Brazil?
laugh at them, and throw them out of a window. I want to move on. That was a stupid way to celebrate Christmas. Here's a nice way to honor Christmas. These are the guys from Duck Dynasty. Of course, they go on a USO tour. They're singing with General Dempsey. Here they are. I am not much for Christmas carols or sing-alongs, but this is probably a better way, Eric, of dealing with the holidays.
These guys are absolutely on fire. You know why? Because they're good people.
Yeah.
They're just good people. You can do that. They can stand up. They can, they can say their prayer at the end of the show, which I believe, is it still in? I hope it's still in. May or may not be still. Look, they're just good, down-to-earth, solid quality people. It's fantastic. I love what they're doing.
You know what? This is the reason why I bring this up. It's a contrast from Greenpeace. Greenpeace are environmental activists. These are actual environmentalists because they live in the environment. If they kill something, in order for that to survive, they have to raise more of them. So they know more about wildlife than any activist would.
Yeah, and they also get a bad rap from a lot of folks because, let's be honest, they're religious, right? They represent that group of the population that we heard our president say clings to God and clings to guns. And you even saw Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty come out and say, yeah, the producers really didn't want us mentioning Jesus' name when we prayed because they didn't want to offend Muslims. There's something to people who are insecure about their beliefs when they see a family like the Duck Dynasty who are so secure about their beliefs and really espousing what America believes in, that is so nauseating to them. They have to get them to try and change. What I think is ridiculous is they're reaching out to the troops. Again, kids, the troops. Can we leave these two groups alone? I guess not. You can't leave them alone, can you, Bob?
It's not me leave them alone. I mean, the Republican Party's adopted the troops. I mean, I'm all for the troops too. But I mean, let's face it. Who uses the troops as a way to dump on Democrats and dump on lefties and all the professors and all the stuff at all the universities that are just all commies? And we hate the troops. And you are terrorists.
Aren't you lefties anti-war activists?
No, not anymore. No. I'm for going to war against Europe.
Watch it. I remember you used to hang with Jane Fonda.
I hung with her for a bit, and she was good looking, too.
When did you come back around to
Well, after she got off the gun, I got on the gun. No, I mean, I was, I never was against the war in Vietnam, against the troops. I was against it as a bad policy. She made a terrible mistake, and I think she's paid a big price for it.
Dana, I want to bring it just this point. They have an album out, Duck the Halls, which did not beat Britney Spears, but almost beat Britney Spears.
This close.
It was this close. Britney Spears' debut, and they were still almost beating her.
Which is great, which means that they're extremely popular. And what I like about these guys is how they decide to spend their free time.
Yeah.
They decided to go on a USO tour, where they didn't go off to sunny vacations in the Caribbean. They decided to go and see the troops, and the troops love them. So I think that they're utilizing their moment in time, their 15 minutes of fame, which is spreading out. They're using it in a good way.
One quick thing: when they were here, when we had Willie on his brother, when they went and checked into the hotel down there, and they threw him out.
The bear.
The bear said, "You thought he was homeless." They said there's a public bathroom down the road.
Anyway, I think President Obama should get coal in his stocking, just as a reminder of how important coal is. Decision on Keystone is coming up anytime, right?
Well, the political news that happened this week, no, I don't think so. I think that John Podesta, former Clinton guy who's now going back to the White House, which I think is says a couple of things, that they're worried about Hillary. They want to make sure that everything's smooth for Hillary Clinton over the next 2 years. But also, he's been a very vocal opponent of the Keystone Pipeline, and I bet, Bob, that he's going to put the squeeze on him.
When he said he's going to recuse himself from that decision, that told me he was looking to cover his butt.
You know when I noticed that they were backing off? When the head of the Environmental Protection Agency about 4 weeks ago, early November, told the Boston Herald, you know what? I just can't come out and defend this administration's decision to block the Keystone Pipeline. I thought, oh, wow. If the EPA is backing away from obstructing it.
Now, can we get into any more Obama bashing here?
No. I'm just really surprised this is happening after he was reelected.
So
Who
weird.
would have figured? All right, ahead. For those